Hi everyone, welcome back to another Black Desert video. My name is Azure, and in today's video we are going to be covering the new Succession Musa buffs that we just got on today's patch. And I am so excited to go over this because what seems like it's been for years now, we are finally getting some stamina adjustments, some stamina recovery, and it's going to be helping a lot with the spec. I know that a lot of players that have tried out Succession Musa have been turned away from it simply due to the oxygen tank that they are given whenever they play this class. It seems like you can't really do much on the class because whenever you go in to initiate, you blow up all your stamina and then you kind of have to sit back and wait for an opening. But with these changes, they allowed it to where there is a manageable stamina for continuous attacking. So I'm very excited for all these changes. We get stamina reduction on certain skills. The recovery is going to be a big thing that we talk about, and then there's going to be some new flow in movement with certain abilities. But before we get into all that, if you guys want to help out the channel at all, I'm trying to reach 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so any support on this video would be greatly appreciated. And let's get right into it. Alright, so I'm here in the battle arena to test out some of these new changes, and the first thing that we're going to be going over is the skill Prime Gill. They did change this so that the mouse movement has been disabled during the skill, and then they changed it so that on the second attack of Gill, the camera will rotate accordingly. So it's a minor adjustment, but it does overall help with our kit. They also improved the stamina to instantly recover after the attack. So whenever I use this here, basically whenever I'm rotating my camera, my character will follow it, as compared to before. Whenever you would use this ability, regardless of which way your camera is rotating with your mouse movement, your character will kind of just go into whatever direction. So if I'm spinning my mouse like 90 or so degrees, it'll kind of just be put off into whatever direction it's inputted at, whereas now it follows it, which is so nice. It helps with our movement, and it helps with our adjustment where our character is placed at after the ability. So overall, these are good changes, but the big one is the stamina. You can't really see it because my stamina isn't being consumed as much, but the small amount of stamina that this ability does use, it is now being fully recovered during that lingering animation, whereas before your stamina bar would be, it seems like it's as if it's locked. So I'll do it one more time here at the third right there with that lingering animation. Your stamina bar would essentially be locked in place, and after your character is done with the animation, then the stamina would recover. But now it's changed to where the stamina recovers during the animation. That the stamina is already recovering, which is such a big help. Alrighty, so the next skill that we're going to be going over is the stub arrow evasion shot, which looks like this. So what they did initially with this change is they made it to where you do not have to have the stub arrows currently loaded into your loadout, whereas before you would have to have these arrows preloaded like these. Now you don't have to have them already loaded. You can just use the ability whenever. So that's the animation right there. And the second thing that they changed is your character initially, before the patch, you would have an invincibility frame while casting the animation, but now the invincibility frame lasts the entirety of the animation, and then they added a super armor at the end of it. So I'll do it one more time here so that you guys can see. So invincibility throughout the entirety of the animation, and then we gain a super armor at the end. I know that this class doesn't have as many protections as other classes do, so any sort of protection that they add to this class is just such a big help. And especially with stub arrow, it's one of our abilities that we can use to help catch players out, and adding a protection onto that is just overall such a helpful thing. They also changed the cooldown from 5 seconds to 8 seconds. And then lastly, similar to Prime Gill, we'll get into more of this later, but the stamina bar consumption, they allowed it to where whenever you cast the animation, instead of your stamina bar being locked from recovery, your recovery process starts during the animation. So instead of casting your ability and then the recovery for stamina happens, the recovery on your stamina happens during the animation, which is such a big help because, again, how I was saying in the beginning of the video, this class seems like we run on an oxygen tank when it comes to stamina, and having your stamina recover during your abilities is such a big change, but we're going to get into that more in just a bit. All right, so the next skill that we're going to be getting into is our prime retaliation skill, which is our Q block, and then you press left click, and that allows us to help catch players out whenever they engage on top of us. It's kind of a it's a retaliation, you know, it's like a parry. Before, you were able to get a stun effect on your enemy, but now they changed it to a knockback. I'm not exactly sure what the reasoning was behind this, but I guess over time, as you play in like AOS or open world PvP, we'll get more of a feeling for it. And maybe, I don't know at the moment if this is good or bad. I mean, it's still a CC, which I'm glad that they didn't just remove it entirely, because they did that on blooming for whatever reason. But they also changed it to where you can flow into retaliation with other skills. So if we were to use like blind slash here, we can use blind slash into prime retaliation, and the animation for prime retaliation just flows better into other skills, just because it makes the kit overall feel a lot more smooth. Alrighty, so now we're going to be getting into the bulk of the stamina changes. As you see here on the screen, they improved the stamina to instantly recover after the attack when performing the following skills with Serene Mind during cooldown. And this is touching into what I was saying earlier with Prime Gale and the stub arrow evasion shot, where whenever you're casting the ability, the animation before, your stamina would just be locked and it would not start to recover until after the animation is concluded. Whereas now, whenever you are casting the abilities, your recovery on stamina is happening during the animation. This is what the biggest part of this change is, and this is what is causing so many people to get into Succession Musa again. So far, since Arena of Solera has been open for the past couple weeks, I have seen so many more Succession Musa players, because they released these notes on Global Labs about 2 weeks ago or something like that, on the 14th. So I've seen a lot of players starting to try out this class again, and I've already had a few DMs regarding that they've tried the class in the past, but they feel like they just can't operate the class properly due to the stamina consumption. But with these changes, it's going to be such a good change, and I'm very excited for all the new players that are going to be trying out this class. But I'm just going to do a little demonstration here, where if I'm dashing around and you see my stamina bar at the bottom being consumed, it's kind of like, okay, well, your stamina is just being consumed because you're dashing around. But then whenever you come up to your opponent and you start doing your abilities, before, your stamina bar would just be locked and nothing would be recovered. But now, as I'm using abilities, you can see that it's just progressively going up. It's not really going down, which is the opposite of what was happening before, where even after dashing around for a bit trying to find an opening for your opponent, it seemed as if whenever you would engage onto your opponent, your stamina bar would just be depleted all the way to 0, and then you kind of have to just sit here in an idle situation where you're waiting for your stamina to recover, or you can use Tiger Blade because this doesn't consume stamina upon dashing, and you would just kind of run around until that comes back up. But with these changes, it's helped so much, just because that locking of your stamina consumption is no longer a thing. So I'm very happy with these changes. Alright, so the last two skills that we're going to be talking about here in this video is Storm Slash and Gale Slash. These are two skill enhancements from the level 58 of Cyclone Slash, Gale and Rising Storm. So what they did with Storm Slash is that they improved the following skill to be comboed into other skills more smoothly upon use. For example, Mountain Divide and Rising Storm Blaze. So if I were to use Rising Storm here, I could do Rising Storm, Mountain Divide into Storm Slash, which I think is a really cool plus. I very much so enjoy that ability a lot. They also added a forward guard onto Storm Slash, and then they removed the forward guard off of the first hit on Gale Slash. So I think that they're just swapping the forward guard around, which I guess is fine. They also added 30 HP effect on hit for Storm Slash. So any successful hit, you'll get 30 HP back, which is really nice. So if I do like Rising, and then I can do it back into Storm Slash. Very useful. I think it'll be helpful a lot whenever it comes to comboing things smoothly. And I think anytime that they add a skill to where it combos in or out of Mountain Divide, which is our Magnus ability, I think that's always a plus, just because Mountain Divide is such a sick ability, and I think people overall really like it. So I'm just going to be putting an image of the before and after Gale Slash damage changes. They did reduce the damage down just by a little bit for PvP, with the extra attack being minus 55%, but it seems like that they've buffed it for PvE. So maybe whenever you're PvPing, it seems like you'll be using Storm Slash, and then PvP will be using Gill Slash. I'm not exactly sure. The buffs did just come out today, so over the next couple of weeks I will be testing them out and then obviously uploading videos corresponding to those and see the differences. But yeah, so in conclusion, these are massive buffs to the Succession Musa kit since we've been lacking in stamina recovery for what seems like years. But I think that these changes are going to invite new and returning players to try out the class, since I know a fair bit of people in the past have been turned away from it due to its stamina recovery. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and if you guys have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them down below and leave a like on the video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.